Today, we are going to talk about building passive income with no money down. So I got to ask, because I see this all the time, is renting...
Is either one of those statements true?
Right. So first of all, the building passive income, is being a landlord passive income?
I think... Well, I know, no, but I think that if you set it up correctly, you could legit be passive, but then you're going to be paying some other people to do the dirty work for you as far as like collecting all the things, fixing all the things. So no,
Well,
to answer your question.
it's like the sexy term that gets thrown around in real estate. Well, this is just passive income.
Hashtag passive income. Yeah.
Right. So when you buy a rental property and maybe you have a job like I did in the beginning, and then I get the second rental property and the third rental property. Now we have a few of them, right? But then you get the phone calls that come along with it. You get the late rent. You get the sink faucet broke somehow, even though it's brand new. It's still broke. And things happen, right? So I want to kind of break down the myth of real estate is not passive. There are ways that you can maybe lend money
Syndicate.
on a
That's
deal.
another sexy term.
Right. Or you've got some capital and you want to put money in on a deal, but you still have to get the emails. You still have to sign documents. You still got to do some things there.
Yeah.
So it's not truly something you like throw some cash up in the air and forget it's ever there.
Right.
But we're going to talk about how to bring in consistent monthly income with $100 down. So I want to kind of throw that out there because I see a lot of people talking about, I just want to be a landlord because it's passive income. I'm like, well, if you want to be a landlord, cool, but it is not as passive as you hope. Now, if you hire a property manager...
Let me have a caveat to that. If you're a really good landlord and you're taking care of your property, then it's not going to be passive, I think. Like that's also maybe a myth because I feel like there are older landlords or just tired landlords that just collect their money and go, and they sometimes give landlords a bad name.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, we see a lot of retired landlords who want to sell us a property, and I'm looking at it, and I look at the landlord, I'm like, how did you let the property... A, get to this.
Yeah.
B, how did you let people live in this? Really, because, they just neglected the property for so many years. It's not like a small, short thing. It was a long time of that happening.
So you will never hear us say passive income with rentals.
No.
Or even rent to own.
Not even with rent to own.
No.
So building this portfolio as passive as possible, though, I will flip side to this is why we do like rent to own so much. Our renters do give us a large, non-refundable option deposit to move in. Part of the agreement we have is they are responsible for the maintenance, the repairs, and the utilities. And because they are planning on doing the lease option or rent to own, lease option is really what it is, they're going to plan on, they take pride in the property. If that faucet goes, they call a plumber. They don't call us. And they know this going into it, so they're happy with this. And these are beautiful houses and beautiful neighborhoods. They're not the junkers. So maybe it's a little bit more passive because our renters, they really want to pay on time. Because they just gave you a lot of money to move in. They don't want to miss this opportunity to have that path to home ownership, right? So I do like that part of the money down. I do like the part of the less phone calls, right? So it's not quite passive though. But we're talking about how do you get an extra $500 a month, right? And then what would that do for your life if you were to bring another $500 a month into your bank account? Would that pay your groceries? Your car payments, right? All these things. Now, that's just maybe one property. But what happened if you bought 2 of them? Or what happened if you bought 10 properties and now you're bringing in $5,000 extra a month? Is that enough to quit your job at $60,000 a year? Maybe for some people that is, right?
Well, as you say that, it immediately brings me back to 2020 when we had, at that time had acquired 10 properties. We had 9 rent to own, 1 rental. And because of our rent-to-own model, collecting the large non-refundable option, getting that cash flow every month, we started building money in that business account so that in 2020, we could hire another coach and then also start running sponsored ads. So I think too, like as you're thinking, if you want to leave your W-2 one day, this just happened to line up with our plan. Like unbeknownst to us, COVID happens and you end up walking away from your job. But like those that, like you're saying, like we had it kind of happening without realizing how quickly that was going to happen. So it is truly possible to start building that nest egg and being responsible with the money. So, obviously we could have gone to Disney World or we could have traveled around and spent all that money, but instead we were really building that business bank account up while you were working your W-2.
So I got to give W-2 a shout out there. If you have a W-2, a great job, great, good. don't think I'm leaving my job to go do this immediately.
No.
I always said for the longest time is you have to create a side hustle. And I used to catch a lot of flack for that at work. If you remember how many people would say, Joe, like you have a good job at a car dealership, you're making good money. Why are you buying a rental? Why are you buying your second rental? Why are you on your fifth rental? Why are you on your eighth? Right. And it was that. But then what happened was COVID happens. And I'm stuck making a decision if I have to go back to work and my doctor is telling me because of the medication I take of me having Crohn's disease that it lowers my immune system and that I run a high risk of if I do get COVID, what could happen to somebody like me on this medication. So I had to make that choice that of not going back to work in 2020, which is 5 years ago. So if we didn't have this rental portfolio bringing in this income, that could have been a bigger challenge than it already was because it was a big challenge. But if you think about and you remember, we got rid of Netflix. Like we didn't go out. We were also terrified and didn't go anywhere. But so this rental income, this extra income,
residual mailbox money or electronically depositing into our bank accounts money, like truly set us up for the path of which we knew we wanted to go on, which was being full-time real estate. But I think that's really important. So there was definitely work along the way, and it's totally worth it, especially as you look at like the big picture of eventually selling off these properties and the wealth that can be built from when you bought it to when you sell it. But, sometimes when you're just getting started, it's hard to think of all those things. So even though it's not passive, we're definitely like all for this sort of, game plan. Obviously, we've lived it. We are living it. So I want to shout that out too, because even though it takes work, it's okay. Like put in the work.
Well, and that's the point. You said it. It's residual income.
Yeah.
It's coming in monthly. They used to call that mailbox money, but thank goodness for technology. We don't get mailed checks anymore. It just electronically plops that money into our account every month. That goes to pay the mortgages and all the other bills. And then there's a whole bunch extra we get to keep, which I think our average profit per door is like a little over $500 a door. So that was great when we had 10 properties and here's COVID and I'm walking away from a W-2 job. So while you have a W-2 job, that's the time to slowly, not too slow, but slowly start buying some properties and adding to a portfolio. And I remember one of my good friends says, you're not a real landlord until you have 5 rentals. Well, I was like, I got my 5th one years and years ago. And I was so happy about that back in 2016. That was a really big thing for us. But
you also touched on something too, that like, okay, when we went full-time 2020, we really debated on all of our expenses, but that's something too, like spend some time looking at where is your time going and where is your money going? Because for me, I love shopping. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Wow.
I absolutely love the cutest, newest, whatever. I mean, who doesn't? Some people don't. But once I started trading that like love for shopping, like shoes and clothes and purses, still love them. But, I really dialed into like, how many properties can we buy, right? Like you kind of have that mindset shift. That was something too that like kind of becomes almost a game. And if you can make it fun, it doesn't make it so hard. Because I feel like when you hear no a lot and you get into the nitty gritty, it can feel a little defeating. But if you can turn it into a game and kind of like, okay, like we're out there like hunting on Zillow or we're on the Facebook groups or wherever we're looking, and kind of have fun with that and get off of Netflix. Stop binge watching all these shows that everybody else is going to be talking about and be the odd person like us and don't know what the cool thing is anymore.
Well, it's like we're playing Monopoly in real life.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I love that game.
I love
Still
that.
do.
I love being a banker.
Shout out Monopoly. Yeah, exactly. You are now.
And I wanted all the expensive real estate.
Yep. Talk about Park Place and Boardwalk and all that good stuff. So that was the whole point for me. It was momentum breeds momentum. The first house, and then our portfolio doubled when we got our second house, right? And then, oh my gosh, we bought the third one. So it happens. It's just taking that consistent action. It was doing it when everybody else was out watching Netflix. And in the beginning, I was the weird one that I don't watch TV. Like I never watch TV. Maybe if my team's playing, I'll watch like part of it, but I don't even do that anymore. So really for me, it was, I have my work time, I've got my free time, family time, and then this little bit of more time, am I spending that watching Netflix? If I'm spending this watching a Ron LeGrand video way back about listening to him talking about, hi, buy houses on terms. And I'm like, what does this even mean? Right. But
And then
I
as you
learned.
kept doing that, you got smarter on how to buy the property. So instead of having to come to the table with 40,000 cash or 20% down and all the things, like now you've negotiated $100 down to a seller and simply covering closing costs.
Right. So this is the big part of it is like, so what made us really launch with our portfolio and then like triple it in only a couple more years? The way to do that is we did it with doing creative finance. This is where we learned to, like you said, not huge down payments. I'm still buying beautiful houses, not junkers or fixer uppers. We still do those, but I'm talking about like quick deals, $100 down, turnkey house, beautiful neighborhood, great terms as far as a low payment, not a huge down payment, $100 down, shout out, low monthly payment so I could cash flow. Sellers who are giving me a long term before I have to even get it cashed out. Maybe I just taken over their mortgage and they have a low rate. I think of the house we did in Nunda Boulevard, 269 Nunda Boulevard in Rochester, New York. Seller had it as an Airbnb. He's like, hey, I just want this place gone. It's a big house. It's a finished basement, attic. There's like almost 5,000 total square feet. When somebody comes for an Airbnb, it takes like the whole day to clean the place. He's like, I just need this thing gone. Plus, it's in a swanky, higher end part of town. And some of the neighbors didn't love the fact that the house next door was always being rented out Airbnb. So I think he was getting a little bit of flack from that. So he wanted a quick sale, $100 down, turnkey house, 2.75 interest rate.
And that was a referral.
That was a referral.
$0 in marketing.
Free.
Yeah.
Best marketing. Free. The payment was $1,700. What he had at that 2.75 rate, we took it over. We were renting it for $3,000 a month. The cash flow was fantastic, right? Our renters actually gave us $27,000 to move into the property because we offered them rent to own. So we got a big chunk just for buying this house. We got great monthly cash flow. And then they end up cashing us out for over $100,000 more than we bought it for. So, and we helped a renter turn into a homeowner. It was like win, 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 win across the board. The only if there is a loss on that deal is when we did sell it, there was a 2.75 interest rate that got paid off. So I'm sure the bank loved it, but that part kind of stunk.
Yeah, that was kind of sad. But the point being is it wasn't necessarily passive, but if you've ever fixed and flipped, if you've ever had to renovate any house whatsoever, literally the only thing we did there was put up smoke alarms, and then they had left like some toy that our son just had to have, like a Hot Wheels garage.
And he still has it.
He still plays with it, yeah. But other than that, this house was sincerely turnkey to the point where you brought me there hoping I would move. And I said, there's no palm trees, so no, not a chance, which worked out great because we were able to really put some wonderful people in that house, collect the cash flow, like you said, the non-refundable option, and then eventually cash them out.
And eventually moved to Florida, even better, where there are palm trees.
So as far as being passive, it was as close to passive as I think could be. And we have dozens of properties like that. I mean, there's somewhere we do have to put a little love into it because it sat for a bit and the seller hadn't done much with it when they sold it to us. But for the most part, some of these beautiful new turnkey houses, they don't need anything except for somebody to make it home.
And it's that simple. So scaling your portfolio, getting that $400, $500, $300, $500, $1,000 a month coming into your mailbox for just having one property. The goal is to do like the Monopoly Man teaches us to do, is to now start buying multiple properties, really start getting the cash flow. Because if your ideas, because I know mine, I never saw you. I never saw the kids. I'm always stuck at work. And my goal is I could quit my job one day and I could do this full time. And how great would that be? Well, you start this while you have that job and you start accumulating these properties until either something happens and you don't want to go back to work, or something happens and you can't afford to go back to work because your real estate business takes off, or something unexpected happens like COVID. And what better cushion to fall back on is to have a big old portfolio of properties behind you to help get you to wherever you're going to go next. So I love what you said in the beginning. If you're making some money on your properties, sure, trips are cool and the new Gucci bag is cool, all that great stuff, and that's wonderful, but save your money. Reinvest it back into your business by buying more properties and really start things get exciting quickly.
And one of my favorite things to do is to get that Gucci bag because I love them. But you make a goal, right? Like how many how much money cash flow wise do you need to hit a month, or how many properties will it take for X, Y, and Z? And then once you hit that goal, go celebrate. Like, go to the fancy dinner, go take the trip, buy the bag, and make sure you celebrate your wins along the way. But it's just like profit first, right? Like, you want to put some money aside to pay yourself, but you also want to make sure your business is thriving and running, because passive is definitely a myth.
Bam. Well, I mean, okay, so the word is out, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. But passive income with rentals, not such a thing. You could maybe make it slightly more passive with rent to own. But then the big part, guys, is how to do it, no money down, and grow that portfolio until, once again, you build a financial fortress around you and your family that nothing can penetrate. And that's what gives you and unlocks financial freedom. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will be seeing you very soon for our next episode. And give us a like down below. Give us a subscribe. Check us out. We got more episodes coming. So thanks for tuning in. Bye.